deeply involved, etc. So this Rata means one who is deeply involved. Rata. So this Arati word is a feminine gender in Sanskrit. That's why it is called Rati. Rati means also, you know, that meaning, the general meaning is that one who gives you pleasure. That is also called Rati. So in effect, Arati gives a feeling of happiness. That's why it is called Arati. Feeling of happiness only to one sense is not there, for all round happiness. So after finishing the Arati, when you get up, you find pleasure all around. In your body, mind, everything is very happy, and you have become completely quiet, and you have become calm and collected. So becoming calm and collected gives you a kind of exhilaration, and that is called Rati. So Arati is the word that has been used. Actually, if you see, according to the tradition, the Vaishnava Dharma, that is the people who worship Lord Vishnu as their uh, final ideal. So there, these Vaishnavas, they have developed this Arati style into a huge manner. How this all came about? So a story is told. We have been hearing this story from childhood, how this story came. It was during Krishna's time. Lord Krishna was a very young boy, and he used to go with the other boys of the cowherd boys for taking the cows for grazing. Early morning they would go, and the mother Yashoda will prepare tiffin for him and tie it in a box or in a cloth and then give it to him. And these boys all would go there, and then they will play there. After playing, the cows will be, of course, gladly grazing. And when the evening time comes, when the dust comes, so they come back. So it is called, the dust, this dusk as we call it, is actually dust time, because the cows are walking, and while the cows' hooves are touching the mud path, so a lot of dust is created. And when the dust is created, the boys who are coming behind, walking behind the cows, they all have been, fully drenched with that dust. And Krishna, already he is black. And over him, the dust has come upon him. And now you can't even see him. Whether, Yashoda used to wonder whether, where is my son? Because most of the boys are coming like that, full of dust. And to find out Krishna is difficult because his color itself is black. Now this is the question. So Yashoda comes out from her home, outside, sit waiting. And no, the neighbors' cows have come, but Krishna hasn't come. Why my Krishna hasn't come? So she going inside, again coming back outside, going inside, coming back outside. Like that several times she has been doing, and she was tired. And finally, the last Krishna comes with his cow. So the cow was taken away, and then Krishna enters at the gate. Mother Yashoda says, Krishna, stay there. Don't come inside. Full of dust you are. And I do not know whether you are my Krishna or not. So let me see you first. See, in those days, there is no electricity. You must understand. So she brought a lamp. And first, she put the lamp on his feet side. And then she cleared the dust. Then it is her child's feet. She could understand. So slowly she raised the lamp to his navel and to his heart. And she saw the Manimala, the garland that she has put on him. That garland is still there. So she knows, yes, this boy is my boy. Because my necklace I had given him, and the necklace Krishna is wearing. Then she took the lamp little higher to the face. And face, she put her left hand on his head and sees the face. Ah, my Krishna has come. She's so happy. But then She has kept the lamp now. She told her assistant, the Sevika, to bring a bucket of water. So the water was brought and she gave a nice bath to him because the dust has to go, So nice, beautiful bath she gave. And after that, she gave him nice unguent. Unguent, they are called aguru, like scent, beautiful scents. She sprinkled upon him. And then Krishna was standing all the time quietly. And then she took the cloth and wiped him, that is, dried him up. Because the water was there, now she dried him up nicely. Once the cloth is given, then she does other things like that. She takes a flower and a flower garland she gives him. And then she finds that Krishna is very tired, makes him seated. She takes a hand fan, and with that hand fan, she is fanning him. Oh, my boy, Brindavan, etc. If you go on summer, you know that how hot it is. So she's fanning him. So what all she did? She first brought a lamp, and then she bathed him. Then with a cloth, she dried him up, and then she gave a beautiful, fragrant garland, and then she fanned him. Now this is Arati. In Arati, what we do? We take first the lamp and show first 3 times under the feet. And then you raise it, you raise the lamp and raise it to the heart. And then raise it to the face. So the Vaishnavas say the Arati started like this. So it's a very beautiful concept, very highly emotional concept. That's why in Arati time, people become exhilarated. That is the word I can use for Rati, Arati, all round exhilaration. Your hair stand on end sometimes when you see the Arati of Bhagavan. So this is how the Arati has come up. So now, this, of course, philosophically speaking, all the 5 primordial elements, that is Akasha. Akasha is represented by a cloth. What happens in cloth? A cloth is stitched by threads. So the threads go like this, making a net. And in between, there is a space. So the cloth represents the space. And the lamp represents Agni, that is fire. And water, of course, represents water. And then the garland, because it is giving fragrance, it represents the earth. And then the wind has to come. So the fan represents the wind. So all the 5 primordial elements from which the entire universe has come up, they are remembered during Arati to the personal God. In impersonal God, puja, there is no Arati. There is no such Arati methods or rituals. But only in personal God worship, Arati is done. In Arati, what we do? Philosophically, all the 5 elements from which the universe has sprung up are being offered at the feet of my Ishtadevata. So Krishna is offered all the 5. So in the same way, when Sri Ramakrishna started Ramakrishna Math, what he did was he wanted to do this personal seva, this puja to Bhagavan Sri Ramakrishna. So he designed Arati. All the 5 elements are to be taken. So, but a song must be there. Without a song, nothing can come. It is said that music is that only method that can raise the mind very quickly to a higher level. You may be intellectually very good. You may read, all the philosophical treatises, and you think your mind is up. It may take a long time. But just listen to some music, some beautiful tunes that's composed by some great acharyas, and you will find immediately your mind rises to a higher level. So music is very easiest way. So it comes from the Samaveda. That's why Sri Krishna in Bhagavad Gita says, among the Vedas, I am the Samaveda, he says. Vedanam asmi Samaveda. So Sama is that wonderful Veda. From that, the music system has come up. So now what the Hindu scriptures teach us, they have given us 4 types of goals: dharma, artha, kama, moksha. These are the 4 goals enshrined for each individual born in this world. So dharma means, the righteousness, right thinking, right living, right doing, everything rightly you're doing. That is called dharma. And then next is artha. Artha means wealth. You have to earn wealth in order for you to remain in this world, in order to take care of your uh, neighbors, take care of your own family members. So many things you have to do. Every month you have to got to pay expenditure. So wealth is required. For that you have to earn that. Then third is kama. Kama means pleasures. It may be physical or mental or spiritual. Whatever pleasures you take it, it's kama. Then you find moksha, liberation. So every Hindu has been enjoined by the scriptures that these are the 4 goals, but moksha is the final goal. So we all know that the final goal of our life is moksha, liberation, enlightenment. But in between, we require these 3 mokshas also, 3 goals also: dharma, artha, kama. So if you want to practice all these 4 types of goals, you require bhakti to Lord. Bhakti is the easiest, as Sri Ramakrishna says, in the Kali Yuga. So Bhakti Marga, that is Bhakti Yoga, you find this personal God worship comes. So you find that the Bhakti also takes, 9 types of forms. It is called Nava Vidha Bhakti. 9 types are there. Right, starting with, that Shravana, then Kirtana, then Manana, like that it goes on. 9 kinds of Bhakti is there. One of them is Kirtana. Kirtana means singing. Singing what? Singing the glory of God, not anybody else. My Ishta Devata, my chosen ideal is before me. I am trying to worship him and I have to sing the glory of him. So Vivekananda said, my Ishta Devata is Sri Ramakrishna, and all the disciples were there sitting. He told, no, let us do every day Arati to Sri Ramakrishna. Then the disciples looked at Swami Vivekananda. What song should we take? What song should we sing? So Vivekananda wrote this song, Khandana Bhava Bandhana, etc., etc. He wrote. And it's a great thing is that when he wrote this song, it is also has got a meter, etc. And with this song, generally people think that it is a Sanskrit song. Actually, it is not exactly Sanskrit song. It is Sanskritized Bangla song it is. So originally it is written Bengali only, but the words are absolutely Sanskritized. That means all the words are Sanskrit words only except 1 or 2 words. In the first line, Bandi, Tomai, the Tomai is the Bengali word. Otherwise, all the other words you will see, everything you find in Sanskrit words. And Sanskrit words are hubu hubu, as they call it, in whole. They take it in Bengali language. So there is not a problem in understanding Bengali. If you are a Bengali speaking person, Sanskrit is not a problem at all for you to understand. Because all these words that are used in Sanskrit are exactly used in Bangla language. It may not be in Tamil language like that. But in most of the Indian languages, you find the Sanskrit words are fully imported. So when you understand that, so it is very easy to follow this. Now, what I am going to say is that this Khandana Bhava Bandhana is the song that who wrote, Vivekananda wrote. And he wrote at that time when the Arati has to start. Where did he write? Yes.
I was just going to ask you about the timeline when he wrote this song.
Yes. In 1898, he wrote it at Neelambar House in Belur Math. Belur Math, yes,
Swamiji, was it instantaneous composition or he took some
instantaneous.
time?
Yes,
Oh,
yes.
okay. Thank you.
Swamiji is always, extempore. He doesn't need to prepare anything. So instantaneously he wrote. And then Nilambar Babu house was the third monastery for Ramakrishna order. You know, the first monastery of the Ramakrishna order was at Bagh Bazar. No, not Bagh Bazar, Baranagur. Baranagur was the first. Second was Alam Bazar. And third was Nilambar Babu's house. And fourth is the permanent house we got in Belur Math. It is village Belur. So this Nilambar house is the third monastery of the Ramakrishna mission. And there only new boys joined under Vivekananda. So, and other disciples are also were there. So they started a proper monastic organization in Nilambar house. That Nilambar house has now come under the aegis of Ramakrishna Math, Belur Math. So when you go to Belur Math, you must visit Nilambar house, because that house is a very holy house. Not only Vivekananda wrote the Arati Stotram, the hymn, but also their Holy Mother did Panchatapa, 5 fires, and under that she was sitting and did 1 week. She did that austerity. That was done in that place. So the place has got a lot of memories with the old incidents. So you must see that when you go to Belur Math, make it a point to visit this temple also. Now that Nilambar Babu house has been made so beautifully renovated, and exactly as it was in those days, they have renovated. So when you go there, the building construction, everything you see as in the old, the olden Victorian style of building, at the big pillars, etc. You find that British style buildings. So that is there. So it's a very beautiful place. And if you stand in the shrine where Holy Mother used to stay, that shrine, outside the window is a big windows, and through the window you can see the Mother Ganga flowing all the time without any rest. She is flowing. So that also you can see. So in that place in 1898, Swamiji wrote this Khandana Bhavabandhana. So it is it is done when Swamiji started this. He had an idea that Ramakrishna's teachings of harmony of religions, of oneness of this universe, all those ideas must be taken, scattered all over the world. That means there will be so many centers will be there, so many branches will be there. So what is done in Belur Math now is repeated in all the branches. In all the branches, it is being repeated every evening. There are some branches where the daily puja, etc. is not done, like our center. We have Arati, that ritualistic Arati I am talking about, not your mental Arati. Ritualistic Arati is done once in a week. Every Sunday we do. So likewise, but there are centers where every day it is being done. The same song is sung every day. So why not we understand little meaning of this song? That was a question raised by some devotees. So we have taken up this. So a clear and deeper understanding of each word will bring us a great transformation in our life. Many times we chant slokas, we chant Vedic mantras, we sing songs without understanding the meaning of that. If only we understand even the word meaning, at least the word meaning we get. And then slowly, when you sit and after the arati is over, you can meditate upon that. Because Shravana has happened. You have already heard it. Now Manan will start. Manan means meditation. So when you meditate on each word, when I was a brahmachari in Kanpur Center, I joined the Kanpur Center. It is in Uttar Pradesh, it is northern India. So in that center, once Swami Gambhiranji Maharaj came. And he was there with us about 3-4 days. And one evening, he taught us this meaning of this Khandana Bhava Bandhana. We could not even believe that it can have so deep meaning. Each word is so deep meaning. I'm not going to take you to such a depth level, but I'll give you, because it will be boring also sometimes. But I will give you little gist of how the meaning can be so fragrant and it's so charming to us. So let us start with the first two lines. So Malavika, can you sing that? Because today Juma has gone for her jab, so we don't want to disturb her.
Khandano bhabu bandhano jagu bandhano bondito mai niranjano narorupodharo niranjano narorupodharo nirguna gunamai.
Yes, this is the first stanza of this Sri Ramakrishna Aratrikam. These two lines, the same strain of tune is repeated next, etc. So you'll find what is the raga it is composed. Some people say it is Mishra Kalyan. So Mishra Kalyan raga is being put into this, and the tala is Chautal. From here to Sampada Tava Sripada, up to that place, up to that stanza, the tala is Chautal. The whole Aratri has got three kinds of talas are being used. One is Chautal, another is Ektal, and another is Tintal. So three types of tala, three types of rhythms are used in this Aratrikam. So now let us see what is the meaning of this Khandana Bhava Bandhana Jagavandana Vandito Mai. So the very first line itself, it says Bandi Tomai. Tomai means to you. Bandi. Bandi means I bow down in singular. I bow down. I prostrate. I make namaskar to you. So Bandi. So you don't need to see, it's Sanskrit language, is something wonderful. And this is what Swamiji brought some improvement to Bangla language also. Previously in Bengali language, you have to use the word I, me, etc. So Swamiji started writing without that. Say, I am taking water. You did not say. In Bengali, you can say simply taking water. Means I am taking water. So that I need not be used every time. So who is Bandi? The person who is praying, who is doing this arati. So you don't need to say that I, etc. So that I word is not there. So Ami Bondi, that is the meaning actually. But that Bondi itself is enough. Ami is included in that meaning. So Bandi Tomai, Tomake Bandana Kori. That is, to you I bow down. So who are you? Now the question comes. In the Guru Stotram we found, Tasmai Sri Gurave Namaha. Who is that Tasmai? Who is that Kasmai? We asked. Kasmai, who is that? So again, the adjectives are used. Likewise, Swamiji has used lots and lots of adjectives in this Stotram. Actually, the Stotram is full of adjectives. Only thing is, in nowhere, in this entire Aratrika Stotram, nowhere he has mentioned the name of Ramakrishna. Something great, something wonderful. You take out the arati of, say, Sri Krishna, Jaya Jaya Jagadisha Hare, like that you say. So you bring Krishna's name. You take Mother's, Divine Mother's arati, Durga arati, you'll find Durga name is there. In all arati, Ganesh arati, Ganesha name is there. This is the only one arati where the deity's name is not mentioned. That means Vivekananda has given a treasure to any devotee who has got any god or goddess you worship. So to anybody, you can apply these adjectives. You can apply to Krishna, you can apply to Rama, you can apply to Jesus, you can apply to Ramakrishna, you can apply to anybody whom you worship. All these adjectives can be so beautifully used by anybody because Vivekananda has not contracted it, made it small by mentioning the name of the deity. So it is open to everyone because that is the nature of Swamiji. Swamiji was universal in his outlook from childhood onwards. He had no difference between caste, creed, religion, race, etc. He was completely universal. So for a man of universality, so that's what you find that how Swamiji created this wonderful hymn, this Aratrikam, completely universal. So what is the first adjective he gives? Khandana Bhavabandhana. He says, oh, breaker. First itself he says, Khandana. You are the breaker. Breaker of what? Bhavabandhana. You are the breaker of bandhana, of the bondage. O Lord, I bow down to you, who is the breaker of the bondage. Bandhana is khandan. So khandana of bandhana is called breaker of bondage. But what type of bondage? What type of chain we have? We have the bondage of bhava. Bhava means, coming, becoming. Becoming what? Becoming this human body, taking again and again and again. So Shankaracharya beautifully says, Punarapi jananam, punarapi maranam, punarapi janani jatare shayanam. So he says very beautifully, again we take birth and then we die. After the death, what happens? Again we take birth. This is called bhava, becoming. That is called bhava means becoming. So bhava means this world, this cycle of birth and death happening all the time. Never it is stopped. So you are caught into that chain and the chain has bound my soul. Actually, I am not this soul at all. I am actually free soul. Completely free I am. But because of the ignorance, the Advaita says, the Vedanta says, because of the ignorance, I am thinking I am a man, I am a male member, I am so and so, I am a Swami, I am a teacher, I am so and so, like that you thinking. Completely out of ignorance. So if you are wise, you should think who? I am the Atman. That is the feeling should be there. Instead of that, I am always telling, I am a bound soul. I am a bound soul, I am telling. So who can break this bondage? Only God can break. By his great karuna, by his great compassion, the God can come and break this chain. That's why, and he breaks. How many people in Sri Ramakrishna's life, if you see, you can find that taking refuge in God is the easiest method, he says. You may not be a great intellectual, but take refuge in God. Sharanam, recently we had Buddha's birthday celebrated. What we said? Buddham Sharanam Gacchami, Dharmam Sharanam Gacchami, Sangam Sharanam Gacchami. I take refuge. That's what Gacchami means. I am going. Where you are going? I am going to Buddha to take refuge under his feet. So this refuge, this Sharanam, is a wonderful thing. That's why when we finish all our programs, we sing the song Ramakrishna Sharanam, Ramakrishna Sharanam. Because that is the final. After that, nothing. As a devotee, I must take refuge at his feet. What a beautiful idea, you see. That's why this taking refuge in God is must come. Only at the time God will immediately understand, oh, this person is taking refuge at my feet. I must go and break the chains of bondage. Then he does. If you see in the life of all the saints, how much time, how many types of incidents are there where they are all bound souls. Each one you find at one time or other, he is a bound soul. And then an incident happens. The grace comes. And in that grace, that breaks that bondage. And they become free. Now I am free, you can say. So that bondage breaker. So what is the adjective we are giving here? Khandana Bhavabandhana means, oh, bondage breaker. That is the meaning. So Sri Ramakrishna gave, he broke the bondage of many people. Even Naren, when Naren came to Sri Ramakrishna, he was thinking when Sri Ramakrishna touched him and his mind started going up, Naren started shouting at him, hey, what are you doing to me? I am Narendranath Datta. I have my father, my mother. What are you doing to me? He shouted at him because that bondage was there. As a jiva, the bondage is with the body, mind, etc. Who is going to break? Only the Guru, who is the Sachidananda, comes to you and he breaks it. So, as a Guru Maharaj, Sri Ramakrishna is worshipped here as Sri Guru Maharaj. So he says, Swamiji says, Khandana Bhavabandhana. And then it starts. This applies to all gods. If you take refuge in the feet of God, he comes and releases you from the bondage. You know Narayana, how Narayana's greatness they speak. You know, Narayana, when you think of Narayana, a elephant started calling Narayana because it was bound by a crocodile. It went just to take the water in a stream, and a crocodile came and caught its foot and it dragging inside. You know, crocodile is in water. When the crocodile comes out of water on the land, it is nothing but a lizard, that's all. You can easily take it in your hand. Because its mouth is so big, we are afraid. But otherwise it cannot do anything. But if it is in water, it has got the lion's power. So yeah, even elephant cannot do anything. And it is dragging the elephant. At that time, elephant called Narayana by raising its trunk. And you see, Narayana came. And with his chakra, he released the elephant from the bondage of this, a crocodile. So these are Puranic stories. Bhagavata, it comes, this story. But this has got a deeper meaning, of course. There is a philosophical meaning. What is crocodile? You know, it's called a makara. What is makara and what is kari and what is chakra, etc. There are meanings are there. So, but between that, it is well taken for granted that if you take refuge at the feet of Lord, Lord is full of compassion, so he will come to rescue us. Whatever problem we are having, let us not worry about that. He will come and rescue us. That is the faith when these words are giving. Khandana Bhavabandhana. Next is Jagavandana. Jagavandana. So you see, you are not only Bhavabandhana breaker, but you are Jagavandana. Only for that particular quality itself, we can actually worship you. We don't need any other quality. Oh Lord, you are releasing me from the bondage of this samsara, from the bondage of this bhavasagara, the ocean of birth and death. You are able to release me. For that itself, you are fit to be adored. And Jagavandana, you are adored by the entire world. Wherever devotees are there, they are adoring you. And today, with 211 branches all over the world, you find in the evening when Aratis stotram is chanted. Of course, different timings are there. In that way, you can say all the 24 hours we are having this arati is being conducted at different countries in different time zones. And Jagavandana, he is now adored all over the world. What a beautiful says. This Jagavandana, he is fit to be adored by the entire creation. That is what Jaga. Jaga means Jagat. Jagat means universe. This universe. Why it is called Jagat? Because it is always moving. The Jaga word comes from Gachati. That word comes. So originally. So Jaga means it is always moving on. The Jagat never stops, The universe has never stopped. Whether it is Corona now or the earlier plague or anything. Whatever comes in this Jagat, the Jagat will be go on moving at all. It is continuously moving. So it is called Jagat. So this Jagat, the whole creation is praising you. So the Supreme Lord, if you see our Puranas, our mythology, and you find some of the great stotras written by great acharyas like Shankara, Ramanuja, and others, and bhakti acharyas, you will find always they are praising the Lords. And the Lord has got so many qualities, and they will praise him. And Swami Brahmananji says, whenever you take any deity for meditation purpose, one must think, one must praise the glory of the deity. It's very interesting, In meditation, we think that we will quite close our eyes and then sit quietly and we shall remove all the thoughts from your mind. Not necessarily. You can meditate on the deity also. So when you start meditating on the deity, you must think the qualities of the deity. That's why you will find whether it is Suprabhatam in the morning or in the evening Arati, you will find the lot of qualities are given. Many people do in the morning Ramakrishna Suprabhatam. Likewise, Venkatesha Suprabhatam is there. Subramanya Suprabhatam is there. Like that, you'll find lots of Suprabhatams are there. What is Suprabhatam? Early morning, you are greeting the Lord after getting up. So, and this Arati also is like that. Suprabhatam is done only in the morning time, when you get up and when the sun starts coming up. And Arati is when the sun starts setting down. So one is at the sunrise time, another is the Aratis are sunset time. So this you'll find this interesting. It is that how the mythology gives us entire stotras. So many stotras are available if you want to take up the glory of God to be repeated. So in this case, Swamiji is trying to give us Ramakrishna's Arati. So naturally, he is giving the how to glorify Sri Ramakrishna. So Jagavandana, he says, the entire world is worshipping you. You are adored. So how to adore? That's why all these adjectives are used. And then Jagavandana, Vanditumai, I bow down to you, who is the breaker of this cycle of birth and death, and also who is adored by the entire world. That is the first line. In the second line, Niranjana Nara Rupadhara Nirguna Gunamaya. Here I want to say, when I come to Gunamaya, I wanted to say, but initially I tell you, it is Gunamaya. That is the word used. While singing, you find some people extend the ma into ma. Gunamaya, like that they say, they extend it. The tune needs to be extended because of the beats. The Chautal beats has to complete, otherwise you can't leave that place. So you have to extend it by like that, you have to extend it. But then the word itself is not Gunamaya. It is Gunamaya, not Gunamaya. So Gunamaya, like that they say. That is wrong. So now in Guna Maya also, Ma also can be extended. In those who do classical music, they know this. Without making Akara, in Akara itself, you can stand for a long time. So that extension can be done in musical. Those who understand music, they can see that. So if so, here is Niranjana. The first word is Niranjana. Means what? Anjana means what? Anjan means stain, pollution, stain, some type of ink. If in a white cloth you put one drop of ink, it is called Anjan. So on your eyes, you put nice, collyrium. That collyrium is called Anjan because it gives a stain on your eye. So anything that makes stain is called Anjan. Nir Anjan means without Anjan, without any stains. That means purity. There is no impurity. That is called Niranjan. What is impurity? Sin is called impurity, Papa. Sin is called impurity. Otherwise, you can take many types of impurities. Our Smriti, Shastra, the rules governing our daily life, those scriptures, they give you a lot of impurities, physical impurities, then mental impurities, then worldly impurities, like that. Hundreds of impurities are there. All these impurities stem from one impurity, and that is Papa. Papa means sin. From sin, all the impurities come. So you find that the original sin, the concept is there in Christianity. So the sin concept is there. This sin is the root cause of all the impurities. So what is this sin? This sin is nothing but Maya. So we are all controlled by Maya. But there is one entity who controls the Maya itself. We are all Maya Adhina. We are all under the Maya. But there is somebody who is at the top of Maya, who has got under his control the Maya power. And he's called Maya Adhish. He's Maya Adhisha. And we are all Adhina. Adhisha is the king, Adhina is the subject. So we are all under the Maya's influence. Somebody is there who is completely above the Maya, the Papa does not touch him. The sin cannot originate in him. Sin is not at all there. Apapa Viddham. Even the great sages can become like that, like Ramana Maharshi. If you simply touch a great soul, then you become completely pure. That's why the touching and making pranam system had come, and it is very followed in many places. Because from Vishnu's big toe, Mother Ganges came out, for our liberation. So the toe touching has been very much praised. The toe, only the grace comes out, the grace flows. So people, when they do touching the feet, they do pranam. How do they touch? They touch the toe. So if you touch the toe, then what happens? The grace comes out through you. Because as it is described in the cosmic way, Vishnu's toe gave out Mother Ganga as a grace. So that's why the toe is very important, the big toe. So sometimes, I myself touch my big toe to cut the nails. So if any great soul is there, then when I bow down, I'll touch the toe. To my guru, etc., I used to touch my toe, thinking that let the grace come out. Now this why I'm bringing this toe is that this Papa, the sin, do not touch a person who is completely sinless. The Lord is sinless. So he is untainted by Maya. Why? Do you see Sri Ramakrishna's life? Was he tainted by either Kama or Kanchana? No. Utterly. 6 months he kept his wife with him. He slept in the same bed. No Kama. And Kanchana, he can't even touch a coin. How much we are all attached to the money as such. He can't even sit. That's why Naren experimented once and he sat, and then Ramakrishna could not sit on that seat. So that is completely untainted by Kama Kanchana, the lust and the wealth or the greed. Both of them did not touch Sri Ramakrishna. So who else can be fit for this adjective Niranjana? That's why Swamiji says, you are Niranjana, you are stainless. In the truest sense, in the absolute sense, Sri Ramakrishna was Niranjana. In his life, you can definitely see there is no attachment to anything, even to his own wife. So you find that Niranjana word is beautifully applicable to Sri Ramakrishna. Then he says, Nara Rupa Dhara. This is, Dhara means holding. One who holds is Dhara. And Rupa means form. Nara means human. One who has held a human form. That is a literal meaning. Or one who has assumed a human form. Hey Ramakrishna, I know, Swamiji says, I know who are you. You are Supreme Brahman, Parabrahman. But then I cannot raise my mind to that level to think that you are the Parabrahman. So what I do? I am very happy when you have come to my level. You have assumed a body as Ramakrishna and sitting before me. This is called avatara. It is said that a man wanted to reach the 100th step. It's a staircase. And on the 100th step, his beloved is sitting. And he wants to go. And nowadays we cannot even climb the stairs. We all go by lift. So we are lost how to go stairs, climb the stairs. And there are some people can go up to 20 stairs, 20 steps. Some people 25, some 50. So when I went to one place in where Brahma is worshipped, in Rajasthan, in that place, Brahma is worshipped there. He's got a beautiful temple. And next to him, there's a hill. And Mother Savitri is sitting there. So you have to go by the steps. There are steps are there. Batu Caves in Malaysia. It has got 158 steps. You go on the steps. So like that, steps are there. But then all people cannot go by the steps. Because of this pain on the knees, etc., they stop somewhere. Now, because they have stopped, will God make you, compel you to raise all the steps? No, you must come to me by getting up the steps. Like that, will he say? No. Then he is not compassionate. Lord means he should be compassionate to me. So what he does, he comes down. I have gone to 25 steps. Rest 75 steps, he has come down. It is called avataran. So the Sanskrit word is avataranam, means coming down, literal meaning. Avataranam. Taranam means crossing, Tara means crossing. So taranam means coming down. Avataranam means coming down. So Lord comes down. So how does the Lord comes down? If he comes in the form of a cow, I will not be able to understand him. I will give the significance of the cow, how much is there, that much only I will give. I will take milk from him, but I won't do anything else. But if he comes in the human form, then I can communicate with him. I can talk to him. Earlier he had come in the form of a fish. He had come in the form of a crocodile. He has come in the form of other animals. Sometimes he had come in the form of half animal, half man also. But all these things are putting the Lord little away from me. But if he is completely human form, just like me, blood, flesh and blood, as they say, and I know that he is listening to me, he's looking at me, he's walking with me, and he's sitting with me, and what I bring to him, he is able to eat it. So everything like as I do, he is also doing. Then what happens? That fear is gone. Fear is completely out. So what happens? You start loving. But that is why God has to take the human form. It is not that God cannot take any other form. He can take all types of forms because all forms are his only. But then taking human form has got a special significance to the devotee. If I want to glorify Lord and worship my Lord, he should be constantly present before me in the human form. Then it is easy for me to communicate, to establish a connection with him, to establish a relationship with him as my father, as my mother, as my brother, as my son, as my sage, as my guru. Any type of relation you can bind with him. And that is why Nara Rupa Dhara is extremely important. So in the second sentence itself, Swami Vivekananda has brought it, Nara Rupa Dhara. What a beautiful way that he has said. And Lord comes, every time in the human form as the avatar to establish dharma and remove adharma. So for that also it signifies that in my life, whatever adharmic thoughts I have, whatever adharmic activities I do, all those things should be stopped and I turn myself to a new leaf. How? To a new leaf of dharma. So I make myself dharmic way. That's why we say devotees, once you take initiation, once you take diksha, your life must undergo certain changes. If you have been telling 5 lies per day, at least that must come down to 1 lie per day. If there is no change, no use of having diksha. See, dharmic life has to come. So if you tell 1 lie per day, so a time should come after 2 years or 3 years, you don't say any lie at all. You stand by truth. So you put yourself in the dharma. Likewise, in every sphere of activity, we must see, am I managing everything on dharmic way? This is very interesting. And that's why the Lord comes. When the Lord comes in the human form, I can relate to him. And this is one idea that why he is coming in the human form, because to destroy adharma and to establish dharma in our lives. I am not talking about the universe, etc. He has come to kill Kans or he has come to kill Ravana, it doesn't matter for me. But is he able to kill the Ravana within me, the Kamsa within me, and put myself in dharmic way? For that, he is coming Nara Rupa Dhara. That serves the best, And Sri Ramakrishna's parents had supernatural experiences before the birth of Sri Ramakrishna. His mother had some wonderful experiences, and likewise, father also had some experience. Father went all the way by walking to Gaya. Where is Bengal and where is Gaya, you see? He walked all the way to Gaya. And he went to Gaya where Lord Vishnu's temple is there. He went and did puja, etc. He came out and lay down under a tree. And he wanted to take some rest in the noontime because it was quite hot. At that time, he had a vision. What was the vision he had? He is walking in a big campus of an assembly of great men. All the deities, whom we think gods and goddesses, the devatas, are all seated, both the sides. and Ramakrishna's father is walking in that road. And he says, beautiful hall it is. And at the end, where he comes down to the end portion, he sees a huge simhasanam, that is a huge throne. And on that throne, Mahavishnu is sitting with conch, shankar, chakra, with that chakra, what do you say that?
Sudarshan Chakra, is it?
Sudarshan chakra, yes, with the Sudarshan chakra, and then this flower in his hand, Shankar chakra, Gada, then the Gada is there, mace is there. So with all the four is sitting. And Ramakrishna's father looking at him, he immediately bursts out with the glory of God. He says, "Oh Lord, how I am blessed to see you." The Lord says, "My son, I am very happy with your devotion to me. I am coming to your home," he declares. This poor Brahmin, he says, "Oh Lord, the entire wealth is under the control of Mahalakshmi. That very Mahalakshmi sits on your foot side and she is massaging your feet. And you are Lord of Mahalakshmi." All these ideas are going in his mind. He did not say that. Only what he said was thinking that the Lord is the great of the Lord of the Mahalakshmi herself. He's telling, "Oh Lord, I'm a poor Brahmin. Will I be able to take care of you?" That's what he put it. And then Lord said, "Whatever you take care of me, however you take care of me, I will be satisfied." Then you cannot say no, you see. So Nara Rupa Dhara. So the Lord took the form of a human in the home of Khudiram Chattopadhyaya. And he came as Ramakrishna. So what a beautiful words you see. So if you think little by one, each phrase, then you can understand how deep you can go into that. But before completing, there is two other is there, Guna, Nirguna, Gunamai is there. But I don't think I'll be able to complete that. Little explanation is required, Nirguna and Gunamaya. So I'll continue in the next week. So please join us. And if you have got other friends and your relations who are interested in knowing about this Arati, please ask them also to join. Om Shanti 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 Hari Om Tat Sat Sri Ramakrishna Arpanamastu. Thank you, Durga to everyone.
Thank you,
Any
Swamiji.
question is required? I can spend another 5 minutes if anybody wants to say anything.
Thank you, Swami.
Okay. Okay, then Durga to everyone.
Thank you, Maharaj. Pranam.